All right, boys, back again. I'm excited. Hopefully, we can get a decent run of form going for once. Newcastle to me is, Alexi, honestly, every time I say I'm not worried, we get beat. So I've hit a
Do you know what
point
I was
where.
thinking? Yeah, this feels to me like the Sheffield preview we did, and it feels like the West Brom
Yeah.
preview. It's deja vu all over again.
Like I'm not worried, and I shouldn't be. Like by no means should I be worried about facing this Newcastle side. But we've been so wildly inconsistent after big wins that I don't know what to expect this time around. This is the first time, like, again, I'm confident. I'm very, very confident that we'll win the game, but I'm more weary than I was again. Like West Brom and Sheffield United, I was like, I'm 4-0, 5-0, no problem.
Yeah, we were so confident, weren't we?
Yeah, this time around, I'll be a bit more cautious. But I think I have to say off the jump, I do think we'll win. I do think we need to figure out, coming out of these games where we put in a good performance, how do we keep that momentum going? I don't know. What are your thoughts? When I think about it, again, there's been a lot of chatter about the manager, and it's kind of, I don't quite get it. When I think of these games and I think of moving forward, I do put this one on the players. Like, you are better than Newcastle United. I don't care what Ollie's game plan is when you're playing Newcastle United. You're just such a better side, position to position to position, that there shouldn't even need to be a game plan to beat this team. And that's just my opinion. I don't know, Alexi, how do you feel about it?
Yeah, that's exactly it. I think every single manager, even Pep Guardiola this season, struggles to break down teams that just sit in their own penalty area. It's a struggle managers have had for years, and we had it under Jose Mourinho, we had it under Louis van Gaal, we even had it under Ferguson sometimes, where we couldn't break teams down. Not as much, obviously, but it happens. And I think, I guess what we can work on the training pitch is stuff like moving it from wing to wing a bit quicker. I think sometimes when we're playing a low block, we don't move it quick enough, and it's just pedestrian. It's like, it goes back to Lindelof, to Maguire, and it goes out to Rashford, and then it's back. I think, we can work a bit more on switching it wings a bit, because then it obviously, if you're playing a team that sits back, it moves them about a bit. And to be honest, I think it's about the start of games for us, because I think if we didn't concede after a minute against West Brom, we would have won that game. Like, we just would. But we just gave a team that sits so deep a chance to sit deep and cling on to something in a relegation battle. And same with Sheffield United. But if we go to Newcastle, if we play Newcastle tomorrow and we score after 5 minutes, we'll win. I like, because they'll have to come out more then, and it won't just be, them putting 10 players behind the ball. They can't do that. And I think the thing is, like, I know it's slightly off topic, but like the Sociedad game, I thought was a really, really good performance. It was really encouraging. I thought we set up well. I thought we counter-attacked well. I thought Rashford was great.
Us, right?
James.
But they attacked us, and that's something like Newcastle, like, you say they can't sit behind the ball, but I don't see why they wouldn't sit behind the ball. Like, if you look at it right now, Newcastle on points right now, what are they sitting on? I have the table open here. They're sitting on 25 points. They're actually in danger.
Yeah.
Like,
I think they will definitely sit back, but if we score early, it will stop them and make it more of an open game. But yeah, I think they definitely will sit back from the start. But like with the Sociedad game, it's like, it was really great game, but we didn't learn anything about the team we didn't already know, because we already know that in open games, we're probably one of the best out there on the counter-attack. We can beat anyone on our day.
In Europe, yeah. I think we're the best on the counter-attack. But that's a weird thing. Rory, do you have any reservations about this game? Do you see, since Newcastle is basically in a relegation fight at this stage, there's no good about it. Do you have any worries? Do you think they're going to come out scrappy? Do you think they're going to sit behind the ball? Do you agree with Alexi, like, we need to score quickly?
I'm not too sure if you saw the last episode, but my biggest criticism with the team is we're not scoring early. I feel like, and also as well, we're playing at home, and we know what our home form is like of late anyway. So, I just feel like we just need to kill this game off from the offset. Like they need to show these teams who are fighting relegation battles, you are where you are, and just need to capitalize on that. But again, we've got a team fighting relegation and we're at home, so that's two. I say that's two situations against us. Do you know what I mean? Like,
isn't that a weird one? Huh?
It's true.
It is. In my opinion, it is. So it's one
very
of them
true.
ones. Like, I feel like we can't line up defensively. If Matic plays, we need to play Bruno as well as Mata, and also as well we need to press. Like that press from the top needs to start happening. I feel like Bruno needs to stop leading the press. Whatever the front three is, they need to start leading the press because every game. Sorry, let me just quickly line.
Yeah, finish that. So learn that.
Every game, we're allowing teams to kind of run at us, and we hit them on the counter. But out of 10 times that happens, we're gonna concede at least twice, which is not good because we don't want to be chasing games no more. Like, I've had enough of chasing games.
That's fair. We got a bunch of people watching. Please like, subscribe, just getting the admin out of the way, share it out on your socials, get involved in the comments. When you get involved in the comments, I definitely read them out. So you said something about we need to press from up top. Today an interesting video came out, and it was around Cavani's birthday and the amount of running Cavani does. How he runs on average 10 kilometers a game, where Martial has not hit 10 kilometers once. So when you say we have to press, I agree with you, but do we have the personnel? I mean, outside of Rashford, where I do believe he likes to press and he runs hard and he plays hard, but my worry is fatigue in this team. Like Bruno looked gassed against Real Sociedad. He played well. He played phenomenal, but he looked like he was dragging himself off the pitch at the 62-minute mark. He was just so. I agree with the pressing side of it, but do you think that might leave us open because we don't have the speed at the back?
No, but it depends though. Like, obviously, I'm not saying for players to obviously run headlessly or go and commit themselves, but when you've got teams like your Newcastles, your West Broms, who haven't got the most technical players at the back. When their defenders have the ball, it's about sneaking yards. It's about how much yards can you gain before you hit that trigger. Do you know what I mean? I'm not like, obviously you want to get in their faces, but obviously be smart about it. And we're not pressing as much as I feel like we should be, because I feel like if we start pressing more, we won't concede more.
That's fair.
I think I agree with that, and I think it is obviously sometimes hard to press in these kind of games because teams are sitting so deep. But I was just thinking when Rory was talking then about, I think it was City Villa a few weeks ago. I remember City couldn't score. It was 0-0 about 75 minutes. But I think it was Bernardo Silva just pressed Mings, and Mings lost the ball, and then they scored. And it was like these kind of defenders, you can force mistakes out of them really easily because Newcastle United defenders aren't really designed to play out from the back. Like, I love that. I respect Steve Bruce and stuff, what he's done for us, but he's not like a revolutionary ball playing manager, is he? And there is definitely mistakes in these defenders.
As a player, as a manager.
As a player, not as a manager, unfortunately.
Kendall on the terrace is always losing her mind about him as a manager. So one thing I did want to talk about, I wanted to get into, the race, let's say, to stay in top four has become interesting, very interesting. And I wanted to kind of discuss how comfortable do you guys feel with our league position? Because I've kind of written out the fact that we'll be able to take the lead because it doesn't seem like City's going to lose another game, which is painful to say. Yeah. But we have Leicester sitting on the same points as us. Goal differential to us, cool. And you have Chelsea, who I'm not buying this whole they're completely changed and transformative after 6 games. Like, I think they're doing better because you have a new manager bounce, but there's been a lot of LVG in the Chelsea style of play. It's been a lot of safe play, which Lampard wasn't about. He was pretty naive the way he played. That's why they gave up a lot of goals. And then you have the best team in London, in my opinion, West Ham United on 42. And of course, Liverpool, Everton, both on 40 now. So we're really only 2 games clear in second. Alexi, I'll start with you. Do you have any reservations about our league position? Do you think we're gonna maintain second, or do you think we're in for a fight? And if so, who do you think who are you most worried about?
To be honest, I genuinely think if we win tomorrow, we ease a lot of pressure on ourselves, because I think we go 6 clear of Chelsea and 9 clear of Liverpool. And at the moment, even though Liverpool are having their dip, for me, Chelsea and Liverpool are the ones I'm most worried about, especially as we're playing Chelsea next week. And the thing is, what's annoyed me with us over the last few years is it's like we make things really hard for ourselves in the smaller games, like in Newcastle, and then it means we have to go and beat Chelsea or someone like that, because that happened last year, that we were dropping points. Then we went and won at Stamford Bridge. So I think we just need to start winning. If, like tomorrow, we'll gain points, and we'll gain points on one of West Ham or Tottenham. And it would just be nice if we could just go into the Chelsea and City games and just not be thinking, if we lose this, we're back down. We need to be in a position where we're going to the Etihad and we're going, we're quite comfortably in second, but we can go for this a bit. We don't want to be in a position where we're thinking, we really can't lose this because Chelsea or whatever are coming up behind us. But it's just, if we somehow don't come in the top 4, I think it will probably be because of games like the Sheffield and the West Brom type games, which is why tomorrow we need to win, obviously, and a bit of a poor run of form. But 6-point lead over Chelsea, 9-point lead over Liverpool, that's really big leads to sustain. And even if we do have a little wobble again, which we probably will, it's a long season, we've got a bit of a gap over them as a bit of an insurance policy.
Rory, what about you? What team would you say would you be worried about, or maybe you're not worried at all about the team trailing us?
I am, and I feel like when managers are talking and players talking about, we need to stop worrying about, the rest of the teams in the league. Secretly, they do, because, if you look at how well Leicester is performing, hence why they are where they are and where we are where we are. You know what I mean? Anyway, sorry, we are where we are. I'm very I feel like we can potentially slip up, and again we'll look at the games where we've dropped points, the Sheffields, the Evertons, the West Broms. Like we'll look at those games and be like, shit, man, like we really didn't do ourselves any justice. So to prevent that from happening, we kind of need to go at each of the next games full throttle, because Newcastle should be an easy quick run through. Palace as well, Chelsea, because Tuchel's only beat us once out of how many games have you played in? 3?
Yeah. Well, Tuchel, we beat him at PSG
twice.
And then he beat us once, and then now this will be his next chance. Yeah. So again,
it's a Chelsea side who are yet to be tested. Obviously, Southampton was a decent test, not a good enough test. So, I'm still dubious that we'll still make it really hard for ourselves, and that's a position we don't want to be in, especially when we're competing in the FA Cup as well as Europa League. Do you know what I mean? So obviously, like what Alexi said, we kind of need to give ourselves that margin for, the insurance policies of losing games.
It's true, but I look at it a little differently, and I think if we beat Chelsea when we play them, I think in 2 weeks, I think that's a wrap, and I think we finish second. I think we wrap up second if we beat Chelsea confidently, because I think our confidence will fly from that point. And I'm not miffed about what happens in the City game. For some reason, we always get a result against Leicester. If we beat Chelsea, there will be, to me, nobody left to really challenge us. And I look at those games where you're right, 2 points dropped against Everton, 2 points dropped against West Brom, and then 3 points dropped against Sheffield United. That is 7 points. If we had those 7 points right now, we wouldn't really be talking about the teams behind us. We'd only be talking about City, which hurts my soul. And that's the way I look at it more. And that's actually the painful part of this whole season. It's that, coming into the year, none of us expected us to be in a title challenge. And if anybody in here says they did, or anybody watching, you're lying. I don't care. Not one person looked at the United team from last year and said they were going to make improvements to the point where they're going to be a league challenging side. And it hurts me because we had that opportunity, and I'm happy we are where we are. But it is, I look at it that way, as we had an opportunity to at least put pressure on City. And I think the goal for this year now will have to be the progression in keeping the gap, to me, at least 10 points. No, we can't. If we lose the league by more than 10 points, that'll be disappointing based on where we're at. Do you guys see any world? I mean, I'm looking at the form table here. It's mad. Just any world where City drop points. Any world where they could draw points, and then the game where we play them, that becomes an integral game. It's still
like I think Pep said, obviously that run can't last forever. So, and it is the Premier League, you know, things are going to happen. Yeah, they're on a 17 game win streak. So, like, and us, it is City, and you know they are going to be the most dominant force in the Premier League over the next couple of years. But you know, they can lose, and you know there's going to be teams out there that's going to make it hard for themselves. I.e., like I said, see, they had the Aston Villa game where they won through a mistake. So, you know, teams just need to be fearless. Obviously, when they play against City, and again, City hasn't got the most sharpest defense. Like they can defend, but you know, defensively, they're not great. It's similar to, like, you know, when Barcelona actually have to defend, they can't defend. Most of their defending starts from the midfield going forward. Once they break that second third, it's a goal, and it's the same with City in my opinion. Obviously, John Stones has been phenomenal coming back in the team, but again, he's good. He's not great. It will happen.
I have a different opinion. I do think City's. This is why I think City's going to be a problem, is because I think City has figured out how to defend. I think they figured out the right partnership. I'm not saying they did. I think it's interesting because we all thought Aymeric Laporte was going to be the partner for whoever, but it now looks like the Stones Diaz partnership is the right one for that team. I want to go into who we think the starting team should be. So for this front three, let's start. Alexi, who do you think should start up top? Because I think this is where there's a little bit of subjectivity here. Like I feel like we might all have three different starting threes.
Well, a lot of people have been saying about Dan James, and I think Dan James played well, but I wouldn't play Dan James against a low block, to be honest. I don't think that's going to go well. As good as he is in open games, against a low block, he's just running at a wall. I think, I guess it'll be Greenwood, who I think has been our best player in the last few weeks, to be honest. Greenwood, Cavani, and Rashford. Rashford played really well the other night. Cavani
could have played.
He has a bit.
Stop it.
He has a bit of.
I'm sorry.
He's had a bit of fitness problems, Cavani, but hopefully he's back, because I don't know who would play up front if he's not there, because it's kind of at the point now where, like, realistically, Cavani is our only striker, because I do like Martial, but it's not really... Yeah, there's not really much evidence to suggest that he can really be our reliable number 9 now. I'm sure he might do well on the wing or whatever, but as our number 9, so I think Greenwood on the right, Rashford on the left, and Cavani through the middle.
Okay. Rory, I feel like Dan James is in your team just based on your reaction.
Yeah, like I like the kid, innit? And I've always rated him. Like, he's not the most skillfulest of wingers, but you know, if you put in a good ball around the back of the fence, he's getting onto it, and he can put crosses in. It's just unfortunate we don't have enough people to flood the box. So I like his creativity in that respect. So I would love to see Dan James play, especially against a low block team, because that's going to obviously enhance his game. And when if he can get round that, then there's going to be a lot more opportunity for.
But there's not going to be any space behind them.
No, but he can run at you. Like I said, he's like a an improved Theo Walcott, in my opinion. It hasn't got the technical ability, but he's got his pace is frightening. But if I'm being realistic, then it'll probably have to be Greenwood, Rashford, and Cavani, because I feel like Greenwood's got a little bit more creativity to his game, which obviously I'm very happy with. He can assist as well as get goals. Obviously, as we've seen of late. So that's the front three I think would be ideal. Martial, like I said, if he can improve on his work rate, then he'd happily be in my starting 11. But
okay, I can't remember how Martial did. I'm gonna look in the last game we played, because Martial has scored a brace against Newcastle in recent times.
Yeah.
I would actually start Martial. I don't want to, but I would, because a running theme with me has been trying to find time to rest Rashford. Rashford, when people say he could have been better or whatnot, Rashford was, I thought, pretty incredible against Real Sociedad. You miss chances, it happens. But when he gets on the end of those long passes, that pass from Fred was phenomenal. It's basically a wrap.
He's got to finish those, man. He has to finish those.
He does, but like we're talking every striker. Like, look, Timo Werner went 1,000 minutes and he missed some gilt-edged chances in that time frame. Yeah. If we're going to talk about, we've seen Cavani miss how many chances against, it was Sheffield United that we ended up losing, right? Like it does, like, and those were they were tap-ins. Like Arsenal too. Like he missed, those were tap-ins. So I keep the same energy for everybody. And yes, he should have buried them. I'm not saying he shouldn't have, but the fact that he came back and scored a goal in the same game, you're like, well, okay, cool. If he missed that one, if he missed that chance, I would have then 100% knives out. If you miss that one too, if you miss two chances like that in one game, okay, there's problems, right? Because if you miss two gilt-edged chances in one game, there is a big problem. Missing one is going to happen, unless you're Erling Haaland, who I might have to say is the second. I might have to put him in front of Rashford soon if he keeps doing this.
Oh, definitely.
But my front three would actually hold on. I'm just going to get to my front three.
Oh, yeah, sorry. Yeah.
It's going to be for me Martial on the left, Cavani in the middle, and I'm going to say put Greenwood in on the right, and then sub Greenwood out early if you can for Dan James. Is what I would say. I want Dan James to get more time, but I believe what you guys are saying earlier, if we need to score early, we need Greenwood on the pitch. In my opinion, we need Greenwood on the pitch to give that threat, because there's not going to be a lot of space to run in behind. And Greenwood's the type of dude who, if you just give him one or two decent chances, he'll probably score. If we can get that early, then you know what? I'm with you, Rory. Bring on Dan James. Let him do his thing. Let him whip in crosses for Cavani, because I agree, he does. I don't think he's the best crosser of the ball, but he can cross the ball, which is something we just don't have on the right side. He's whipped in a lot for Rashford. He has. And it's just, people forget that when they were both running the flanks for that period he came in, and it was essentially just spread them both out wide and run. And he was whipping in crosses from pretty far. So he's not the best crosser of the ball, but he's a decent enough that if Cavani's on the pitch with him, there should be some more opportunities in behind. Sorry, Alexi, you were going to say?
Yeah, no, it's all right. It was just a quick point on Rashford. I was just going to say as well, like, while he did miss those chances, his movement's so good that's why he gets so many chances in games like that. He's so good at being in the right place to make the runs in behind and everything like that. I think that's a really underrated part of his game, because some forwards do struggle with that kind of thing. And I think the reason in open games like that, he does get so many chances, is just his movement for a 20, is he 23, I think?
23,
for a 23-year-old.
23.
Yeah, I think it's brilliant. And I think it's shown his all-round game is maturing a lot.
I want him to get to a place where, and I mean this, he's not thinking as much, just it's instinct. And that's his problem. I think a lot of the times when Rashford's on the ball, he's thinking about what to do next. Mm-hmm. I just want him to just do things, just go out there and just play ball.
But is that based on the other players around him, like where he's a bit more advanced in certain areas than others?
I don't think so. I think he's just one of those dudes. I think there's just some people who they get in their own heads. Like when Rashford, there was that run of form he had last year where he was just destroying teams. It seemed like he was playing just free. And I think whenever I think our team has a huge mentality problem, and Rashford is part of that too. It's like I think we don't have enough confidence on the team when we're in a bad spell. I think as soon as something goes a bit wrong, the team starts forcing things. And that includes, I think Rashford's one of the worst for that. He starts trying to force things too much. I just think, like I said at the start of the stream, I want everybody on that pitch to remember you're playing Newcastle United. Yeah. Every one of you on that pitch, every one of you on the bench is better than any player on that Newcastle side. Don't even think about if you're going down to the park and you see 7-year-olds or 8-year-olds. You're not looking at them being like, yo, should I crush it? You're just being like, I'm gonna just run past you. Like you're a kid. Like you play your game. So I want to see that. I want to see us do that. Midfield, who you guys starting? Alexi.
Yeah, it's a difficult one, isn't it? I've gone Bruno. I guess, yeah, I think it'll be Fred. I've gone Bruno, Fred, and I've gone Van der Beek. Purely because I think we're going to be attacking for a lot of the game, and we don't need 2 sitting midfielders, I don't think. And it would be nice for Van der Beek to get the chance. I think he does move the ball very well, very quickly, which could be beneficial in a game like this. And yeah, I think there's a possibility, the way it rotates, that Matic might play, and I wouldn't necessarily have a problem with that. But I don't think you need Matic and Fred, for example. And I think Pogba not being in the team, being injured even, makes it a little more complicated when you look at the midfield. Because before you kind of go it's Matic, Pogba, or McTominay, Pogba. It's that other position's really difficult to nail down. But I think it will be Van der Beek, because I think he deserves a chance. Full 90 minutes, and I think he's shown he is capable, especially in this kind of game, just moving the ball quickly. And obviously Bruno he's a given, isn't he?
Yeah.
I'm not enjoying the no Pogba experience. It's not fun. It's I don't care what everybody who the amount of pundits and people who come down on Pogba, and it's just when he's not in our team, it's so different. And it's I do believe if we had him for some of those games because I think he obviously wasn't there for West Brom. He wasn't there for 2 or 3. We would have won those games easily. It's just I just Pogba's becoming an underrated player at this point, which is weird because in my opinion, as much as I love Bruno and he's our best player, I still think Pogba's our most important player. I think without a doubt. We can't win anything without Paul Pogba, and that's just my opinion. And if we sell him, we need to get Jack Grealish, and I'll keep saying that. You absolutely need a player of that ilk who can just Pogba, when he's on the ball, you can't get the ball off of him. It's just you need unless you sneak up behind him and he's being lazy. But when he's actually on it, when he's switched on, obviously we've seen Pogba switch off, and that's his criticism. Rory, who would you start in the midfield?
I'd go for Bruno, Mata, Matic. I'd say Matic just for the safety bit of dealing with either Joe Linton or Carroll, just in case they decide to drop deep and strength for strength. Obviously, Bruno, it's again often same as Alexi, it's a given, and Mata, because Mata is just as creative as Bruno, with those forward passes and getting to those little pocketed spaces. So. He is a magician on the ball. You got to think, obviously, there was a time where we didn't have Bruno and everything was kind of coming from Mata, and he still has a pivotal part to play in terms of creativity. So I'd like to see him play, and then obviously depending on the scoreline, get Bruno off and bring Donny on, give him a bit of green time, because Donny and Mata play pretty well together. I wouldn't start them necessarily in this game because of previous run of form, but had those things changed, then it would have been throw them in there. Throw them in there. I couldn't care less what happens.
So you both kind of touched on things that make my midfield, and this is who I want to start. I actually want Van de Beek, Mata, and Fred to start. That's the midfield I want us to go with. Bruno needs a rest. I don't care. We just have so many important games coming up. We have to go for the Europa League. We have to go for the FA Cup. We need to win trophies. We need to put that mentality in there. And Bruno looking as tired as he did at the end of the game for me, even though he was fantastic, he looked tired, and I want him to rest. If we have to bring him on, it's always sad when you have those games. But I remember recently we had one game where we sat Pogba and we didn't have to bring him on, and it was blessed. You're just that's exactly what we need. And Mata and Donny van de Beek play extremely well together. You hit on it earlier, Rory, when you said we don't need pace and we don't need two defensive midfielders against Newcastle United. We do not. Fred is the perfect midfielder against Newcastle United because he's just going to break up play and intercept and get the ball back. Like that's why I picked Fred instead of Matic. I would then bring Matic in when Newcastle decide to go for it and they have the Andy Carroll, because Newcastle's not going to start with Andy Carroll. They're going to bring him on. They always do. So when they do bring him on and they do try to put more pressure on us up top, then you bring in Matic to deal with him. Fred always kind of gasses himself out by 70 minutes anyway. He really does. He does so much running around it. So I would want to see those three because I think Matza and Donny van de Beek actually work really well. And I do think they'll unlock Newcastle's low block because we'll have possession. And those two just, with Donny van de Beek's movement, Cavani up for me is up front. You have Greenwood. Someone's going to get an early chance based on those 5 players on the pitch. When you talk about Matza, Donny van de Beek, Martial, Cavani, and Greenwood, out of those 5 players against a Newcastle low block, somebody has to create something. And
my only issue with Donny, though, like he plays very safe. Like I feel like he kind of needs to.
But Matza doesn't. No, I agree. He does. He plays extremely safe.
He plays too very safe, and again, it's the first 15 minutes, 20 minutes, no. Even the first half, no. Like I feel like I think this is why he's not getting enough game time because he's not really like showing his masterclass. Like I feel like he kind of needs to be, hitting wild 30-yard shots, doing, little tricks and little flicks, and do you know what I mean? Like, like playing it too safe. It's just like, he's going to get overlooked, and he's not a player that shouldn't get overlooked, in my opinion. Like I said, I feel like he needs to be to come out of second gear and play a bit more free, in my opinion, which is possibly why he's not getting enough green time. But that's just obviously why I feel like he won't start in my team.
That's fair. That's completely fair. For the back 5, I think it picks itself because clearly, I think the reason Hendo's not getting in the team is just politics at this point. I don't think it's based on form or anything. I think it's just Ollie's like, listen, I've got Hendo for Europa and FA Cup, which I think in Ollie's mind is he wants to win both those cup tournaments too at this point. So that's a big role. And he probably spoke to Hendo about that, being like, listen, we need to win trophies and we're not going to win. Like, I need you for those 2 cups and I need to still play David De Gea. I can't swap David De Gea into a cup game and I still need to play him, especially based on the contract he's on. And just in general, it'd be a weird one if Donny's playing. I mean, if Hendo's playing all three competitions, that doesn't happen with any team really. You don't ever really have one goalie play all your competitions. So I think for that we won't see Hendo, and I think the back 4 is going to be Luke Shaw, Lindelof, Harry Maguire. If Lindelof's healthy, I'd rather Bailly, to be honest. But I'd much rather Bailly. But I think like I'm gonna stay on this thread, and I'll stay on this thread for all my previews and whatnot. I think Ollie is actually going to prioritize those tournaments more than the league, in the sense where I think he's going to be comfortable enough that we'll finish where we're going to finish. If we beat Chelsea, like I said, I think we'll finish second and it won't be a problem. I think Ollie's already told the world, just like Klopp did and everybody, they've conceded they're not winning the league, right? Like he said, we shouldn't be, out of Ollie's mouth, we shouldn't be considered title contenders. So if Ollie's saying that out loud, but he still wants to win things this year, he's indirectly saying, listen, everybody, I'm prioritizing winning those tournaments as long as we keep pace in the league. So I think the back 4 is going to be who it is I think it's going to be a flip-flop every time. You're going to have Aaron Wan-Bissaka because there's nobody else. You're going to have Harry every time, and then Telles and Shaw are going to swap places. Shaw will see come in, I guarantee you, later on in the tournament. Shaw will then come back and remove Telles, in my opinion. I think as long as it's the league, though, that's where he wants the back 4 to be solid. You keep your back 4 solid, we should be fine in the league. I don't know if you guys have any other opinions or.
Not too much of obviously what you're saying. But my thing is with Hendo is, he's had 3 standout performances last 3 games, 3 clean sheets. He needs to show. Well, I wouldn't say he needs to show, because if you look at his performance last season, he was on, what was it? He got top 3 clean sheets last year. So he's and this will be the ideal game for him to stamp his mark in being considered for Premier League games, because I feel like he's got a lot more charge about him in his area, better distribution. Like he'll get an assist over De Gea in a game as well.
Already got one.
Yeah. Set pieces, I don't think he will concede as much because he's a man that will go through his own, which obviously De Gea needs to start doing, which he doesn't do. So I'd like to see Hendo start over De Gea in this game, and this will be the decisive game for him, for Oli to be to kind of consider the man between the sticks. And again, with knowing that, I feel like Hendo will play his socks off, especially if Southgate's in the stands as well. Because again, that England #1 spot is still up for grabs. Jordan Pickford had
a good game today, to be fair.
He had a good game, but he's been dropped for a good couple of games. Nick Pope, again, you're Nick Pope. You're in the Burnley squad, so it's Burnley. There's much to say about that. Do you know what I'm saying? So, like I said, that England spot there's a lot riding on it.
Listen, I hear what you're saying, but like, there's no evidence that says Ollie's going to play Hendo in the league this year. No. I think the reason why, and I do believe, like, it just seems, because we haven't heard anything from Hendo's camp either, it just seems like there's an agreement in place. Like, listen, this year you're going to be the cup guy. This year you're going to, like, unless David De Gea, like, because what else can David De Gea do to push himself to be dropped? Like, let's be honest. Like, I'm the guy's biggest fan, and I'm saying, like, at this point, like, it's, if we're not going to drop him based on what he's done so far, like, what else can happen, right? So it's we as fans can keep crying out for him, but we're not going to see it, I don't think.
Yeah, especially as well, like kind of like with what Rory said about, like, Henderson's distribution is really good, and he's very good at, like, claiming crosses and stuff like that. And it's like, if it wasn't for the politics that you mentioned, you would go, yeah, we'll start him against Newcastle. It's a no-brainer because ultimately they have some tall players and they're probably going to crowd the goalkeeper. Definitely. And it just annoys me because I do love De Gea, but it's just like, we can't just keep pandering to him. I know why we're pandering to him, because it's probably there might be a clause in his contract. He's on loads of money, all of this. He's a legend, all of this.
He's a legend, right?
Yeah, but Henderson, to me, other than his, like, blatant, simple shot stopping in terms of, like, De Gea makes a mad save sometimes, Henderson's just a better all-round modern goalkeeper. And if we're trying to play progressively as a team, and trying to pass out from the back quickly, we need Henderson in goal. That's how City score so many of their goals. Ederson gets the ball, kicks it, finds Sterling or someone, they play a couple of passes and they score. Or sometimes with De Gea, he just kicks the ball out, or he'll just hesitate. He won't kick it in the right place. And yeah, okay, sometimes he is all right. But there's a reason we're slowing games sometimes, and it's because of that. And I think that we've been lacking a goalkeeper with distribution for so long. And the way Ollie wants to play needs Henderson. So for me, we need to put him in, but for the reasons Cam said, like the political aspects of it, it won't happen. But
I think this is the ideal game for him to kind of everything to be reconsidered, in my opinion.
I think the last few games have been ideal, though. This is what's killing me, dude. I completely agree with you. This is the thing. I completely agree with you. It's just like, what else could David De Gea do wrong? Because at this point, other than completely capitulate and lose us that Newcastle game, which we don't want to happen. But what else can he do wrong and still keep, like, he's done everything. He hasn't shown he can command the box. He's made mistakes. He's had his lapses in he's had great games and big saves, but he hasn't done anything to lose that spot more. I wanted to go on to score predictions. I hold my hands up and I haven't been able to get one of these right. I'll start with you, Rory, because Alexi's not doing too well either.
Neither am I. I said the last episode, I said that game was going to lose, but we end up winning. So I'm gonna go cheeky and say 3-1. We're gonna concede 3, but we'll win the game 3-1.
Alexi?
I'm gonna do reverse psychology, because every time I've predicted us to win like 4-0 or 5-0, we tend to lose. I'll say 1-0. I think it could be. I hope I'm wrong, maybe my expectations have just been lowered so much by the West Brom game, but I just think this could be just a really, really just sloggy game, kind of similar to Sheffield, and just struggling to break a team down. I hope I'm wrong. If it's an early goal, 4-0 FC, we're back in town. Realistically, I think 1-0, and I'll take that, to be honest.
I'm gonna go with 2-0. We'll earn a penalty. Because we haven't earned a penalty forever.
Because we scored from open play, which is great, which is brilliant.
It's brilliant, but it's like the mind games have worked. Like everybody's called it out. The mind games have worked. We haven't earned a penalty. Even I can't say we should have earned a penalty anytime. I'm just saying we just haven't earned one recently, and I think we're going to this game. I think I don't know who will take it because I'm hoping Bruno doesn't play this game. I'm hoping he just never gets on the pitch. But 2-0 is what I'm saying. And with that, I'm going to end the stream now. I'm still feeling a bit under the weather and want to make sure I'm in good spirits tomorrow to watch the game.
Yeah.
Enjoy the review, guys, and enjoy the game. Everybody who's watching back, like, subscribe, and we'll see you guys soon. Let's go United.
Brilliant, man. Cowabunga. Let's